What's up, everyone? We're back for another Lumberjack Flashback, and today I've got nearly the entire 2014 NAU Swimming and Diving Senior Class. It's going to be a ton of fun as we talk about the 2014 WAC Championship. But before we get things started, we're actually going to do things a little different today. I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves and where they're calling in from, because we've got Lumberjacks across the world on this Lumberjack Flashback today. So, Ashani, how about we start off with you?
Hi, so Stacey already said my name, but I'm Ashani and I'm calling over from Boulder, Colorado.
Hi guys, I'm Rachel and I am calling from Auckland, New Zealand.
Hey, I'm Jane and I am calling from Peoria, Arizona.
I honestly can't remember if I'm next, but I think I am because no one else is jumping in. But I'm Andrea, I'm calling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Hey, I'm Emma. I'm calling from Christchurch, New Zealand.
Hey, I'm Jordan. I'm calling from Australia.
Hey, I'm Rebecca. I'm calling from Denver, Colorado.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. As you can tell, we're stretched across multiple time zones, across the international date line. And so we may have a couple more Lumberjack alumni joining us throughout the call as well. So until then, let's get started. As everyone knows, NAU Swimming and Diving has won 7 consecutive WAC championships. It's something that I know Andy Johns and Nikki Huffman are both extremely proud of, and all of us at NAU Athletics are super proud of our Lumberjack Swimming and Diving team. But before you got the 7, you had to get the first, and we've got 7 seniors from that 2014 team, as I mentioned. When I say that you guys were the first championship team in this run of 7 straight, how proud does that make you guys feel? How does it make you feel that you were the start of really a dynasty here at NAU?
I mean, it's pretty cool to know that we, like you said, that we're the first, and it took us, you know, it was our 4th and final year that we finally got there. So it felt like it took us a really long time, and we missed out the year before by like 4 points or something really, really silly. So I think it was more for us just so satisfying knowing that we got there in the end, and then it's been amazing to see that they've held on to it for all those years after.
Yeah, I think it's awesome how, I mean, like Rach said, it took us 4 years to get there. And then the momentum just kept building. So the following year, we obviously had graduated, and it was cool to see that whole new team coming through, a new group of freshmen. I mean, for them, they were starting as number ones, and then they just kept that momentum going. So for all 4 years they were there. Kimmy, one of our teammates, so she was a winner every year, which is so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I heard something the other day that said, you never forget your first, and it feels really special to be able to say we were the first group to do that and really have other people build off of it. It was just, like Rach said, so satisfying after, I mean, we worked almost our entire lives for that to an extent. You know, most of us started these sports when we were young. So to kind of go out with that was just really exciting.
For sure. And, you know, it's funny that, you know, Rachel mentioned such a narrow defeat back in 2013, the year before when you all were juniors. You know, I actually talked to Andy Johns about a month ago, and, you know, for another story, and we were talking about, he said that team may have been even better than the team that won the championship the following year. But with, you know, all that being said, no offense to obviously the champions, as juniors to come up 7 points shy to San Jose State, obviously the taste of a championship was right there for you all. And there's probably a certain level of disappointment as well. So how much motivation did that provide you all going into your senior year to finally get on top and raise the trophy?
I just remember that WAC championship, watching the last relay of the night, and all of us were just on the side of the pool with bated breath, cheering as hard as we could to see what the score would end up as. And I think that really set us up for holding each other accountable and showing up the next year and really pushing ourselves to get to that finish line and actually come out on top.
Yeah, I don't think you forget the feeling of second by that many points. So I think individually as well, we've all been in a race where we've been, we've narrowly missed out the goal that we wanted. And so I think it was the same, but on a bigger scale. We were all feeling a bit hard done by, but just turned it into motivation to go back and win. And we only had one more chance to do it. So I think this group of people, we were all pretty fired up to make it happen our last year there.
Did they not get this? They got disqualified in that last relay. That's why we were so close. I'm pretty sure. The Boise team, they got DQ'd.
Oh, Boise wasn't there our junior year.
Who beat us? San Jose? Whoever.
I think it was Boise or freshman year. Freshman, sophomore. Yeah.
Yes. I just remember us all staring at the scoreboard and waiting and like kind of hoping. And I remember
that it would be enough, and we were like.
Somehow 40 points would change.
Praying for a
so it turns out it wasn't that close. I forgot that.
For sure. And in 2014, you guys win the championship by a pretty wide margin, but it actually was pretty close through most of that meet. That first night, you guys get to San Antonio. For those that don't follow the WAC championships, the first night is a diving event and 2 relays. So it's not a full day's worth of events. And, Jane and the divers placed 4 in the top 16 and scored points on 1 meter that night. And then the 2 relays, particularly that last relay of the night, the 800 free relay, Emma and Rachel actually swam the last 2 legs of that relay and brought the team back from, I think it was 6th all the way to 3rd. You guys got the bronze to end that first night. That relay plus the great start you guys had on diving, how much momentum did that give the team going into not only day 2, but the rest of the weekend?
Well, I guess as the only diver here right now, I'll say it was really exciting. I think, especially for me, that had been one of my best performances on 1 meter. So, and, as a team, we kind of understand where people, perform best. And so, for me personally, I felt great. And to have the team come and say, congratulations, you got us off to a great start. This is all so exciting. I think it really helped to set the momentum going into the weekend. Just like, look, we're here and we're here to win and we're not going to back down. And so I know diving's end was just, we were all thrilled that the first day went really well for so many of us.
And
yeah, I think,
Rachel, you want to talk about that relay?
Yeah, I remember that relay so well because I remember Emma and I standing there and being like, we got some work to do, like, we got some catching up to do here, and it was real stressful, but what I really liked about the WAC championship is that we always knew that we were strong on the last day. Like, we had really good events on the last day, and so, when we were in front going into the last day, it gave us a lot of confidence because, there was the mile, and there was a couple of other really good events that we usually stacked up quite well in. So, it was always great to have that awesome start, but we knew as a team that we would always build in our momentum. So definitely gave us a lot of confidence there.
I actually remember quite distinctly standing behind the blocks, and Rachel and I looked at each other and said, "Oh, well, it's the Kiwi Express," and high-fived. I remember that moment so clearly. Yeah, it was quite a while ago now.
So you guys finished the first night tied first with Idaho. You guys go into at the end of day 2, you're up 6. At the end of day 3, you're only up 19 still. So it's a close meet going into Saturday, which, as you guys have alluded to, that's traditionally NAU's strongest day. Not only with 2014, but really since then, throughout their entire championship run, the events on Saturday really stack up well for NAU. So going into that morning session, which Andy told me you guys basically won the championship that morning with how well you guys had qualified that morning. What were some of the thoughts running through the team's mind going into Saturday saying, hey, we're in front and let's try to finish this off?
All I remember from that morning, not everything, but one of my favorite memories from that morning is actually driving in the vans. And I think I was in the van with Coach Johns, and there was a Air Force van that pulled up next to us, and he just started a dance party with the van next to us. That energy was so palpable, and everyone was so geared up and ready to go, and you could just see the swimmers in the back of the van just roll the windows up because they were super uncomfortable. And I think seeing Andy that happy going into it really gave us all that same energy and got us together as a team.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the energy going into the last day was a massive part of it. I think like if you have that positive energy, it actually, you send that out to all your teammates. And I think we, as a team, like senior class, we brought that together. And I think that just showed on the last day, like everyone performed like it was ridiculous. Like our performances on that day were just outstanding. And we knew that we were in front, but that's not what mattered. Like we knew as a team that we still had to perform that last day, even if we knew on the day we're going to win no matter what.
Yeah, I think we were all really aware of how many points we could get from every single placing as well. You know, every person swimming that night was going to get us points, and it didn't matter if you could get 16th or, you know, 1st or 5th. Like it was all going to help us get over the line. And I think that made it so special because everyone swimming was having an effect on our score, and then everyone on the side of the pool could perhaps, you know, cheer people on to get one place better. So it was every single person was involved. Like it was pretty awesome.
I think like it's something I compare to swimming in New Zealand. There's something different about swimming for other people. So like in a club setting, especially how we swim here in New Zealand, you very rarely feel like you're swimming for other people. It's more about you're kind of more swimming for yourself. It's not so much this team atmosphere that you have over at a WAC championship, and that feeling of that you are swimming for a team of, you know, 20 something people, and they're all relying on you regardless of where you get, as long as you know you're trying to get your hand to that wall before the person next to you. There's something about it that really pushes you through to some pretty epic performances.
And that's awesome because, you know, swimming is so individualized. You know, it's such an individual sport, and in college it's such a team atmosphere, you know. And I'd love for any of the other swimmers and even Jane to talk about just throughout your lives training and competing and competing kind of for yourself, and then to get to NAU and now you're competing not only for yourself but for the team. What's that like? And the first WAC championships you guys got to in 2011, was that a huge like wake up call, almost like a eyes wide open type moment?
I think it still gives me goosebumps, like talking about it and hearing about it. Like the girls said earlier, we worked so hard for 4 years for that, and we knew we were capable of it. Like especially our junior year, like we proved that to ourselves that we were capable of that. And I think that made us go back and go, you know what? We can do this. That a little bit harder at training, you know, it hurts, but we're going to get there and we'll do it this year. And I think like doing that and coming away with that trophy at the end was just, you know, the top of a cake, like the icing on the cake, you know, like knowing that we did that, it was like the best feeling ever. That was off, and we came away with that was like the best feeling ever.
Yeah, like you said,
what Rachel was saying. Oh, go ahead, Jane.
No, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to hear my kids in the background. You know, diving is especially a really individual sport, and club diving, yeah, they give team awards, but really you're there competing for yourself to get the best score you can get. And so coming into a college team, you just all of a sudden have this feeling of, well, I have to do the best for myself, but I also want to be there for my teammates. I want to get every point I can. And so, you know, I think even like the first, even like the blue and gold meet we had was such a wake up call freshman year, because all of a sudden you are supporting your team and you're cheering for other people and you're trying to do the best for your team. And you know, that built over the 4 years because, you know, you become a family. I don't want to let you guys down. You don't want to let me down. And so it was a little bit of a shift, but it was amazing.
Similar in that, like when Rachel was saying how like in the club atmosphere, similar in America too, like when it's a club team, it's more just like we all train together, but we're each here just for ourselves, kind of just better ourselves. And if you don't get your best time, like it's a bust, you know, kind of that feeling. But here it's so different where even if you were having an off day, as long as you get the points on the board, like you're helping your team. And I think in club growing up, it was easy to feel like not like invisible, but just like I can just pop it, do my thing, and then leave, and I don't have to worry about anybody else or talk to anybody else. Like here, like you put on that NAU gear, and everyone knows you're part of that family, and everyone associates everything you do with that family. So just a lot more support inherently just from the team that you're on, as well as from like fans and family that were there. You know, they may not talk to me one-on-one, but they know and they support me in the water. That's so different from the club atmosphere where it's like just my dad up there yelling for me and kind of nobody else maybe. But there it's like you have half the arena or the pool like cheering for you just because of the logo you're wearing, and then your teammates because they know you and they love you.
Yeah, I think something else too that was a little unique maybe for our team, especially like our last conference, was just that like we had a lot of really great performances that got, you know, first through third, and we had a lot of great relays, but we got a ton of points from like the B final and those people that were just coming in 5th through 8th and stuff like that. So like for me personally, you know, I was never on a relay, but you always knew that your points were counting regardless, you know, and so that was just a really cool feeling, and it was really inclusive too. And I just think our class in general, I mean, I would say I felt like our leadership was a little different just compared to other years too, and like we really tried to promote a positive environment for everyone. Like, you know, there was no one that wasn't being cheered for, and we were all checking in on each other. And I don't know, I think that really made the difference in the long run too.
And so, you know, getting back to that Saturday night after, I think you guys qualified 14 in the A final for that final night. And for those that aren't familiar with that, the A final is top 8. You've got the B final, which is 9 through 16. And I think altogether you had 20 scoring opportunities that night, and that 19-point lead ballooned up. You guys won the championship. You know, Emma and Kendall Brown and Caitlin Wright sweep the top 3 in the mile. You know, I think Jordan, you know, sweeps along with Sterling and Urte, sweep the top 3 in the 200 breaststroke. We've got great performances by Rachel and Andrea and the butterfly that night. As the points are just racking up, how much fun is that? You guys talk about cheering on your teammates. How fun was that final night, that final hours leading up to the end of the meet?
I just want to say I literally just got chills hearing you repeat all of that. Like it just brings back.
I was going to say the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't thought about that in such a long time.
Yeah, and it was funny. For me personally, that last year, like I think Emma was kind of the same. We actually swam our best in junior year. We had some really, really standout performances. And in our senior year, for me, I managed to get swine flu in January, so that was a really good time. And I kind of struggled from then on out. And so for me, I actually I turned the attention away from myself, and I really was so much more focused on the team because I personally wasn't, you know, where I wanted to be, which I kind of had been junior year. So I think that was quite cool for me because I was like, you know what? I'm going to do what I can do, but I'm going to focus on, and I enjoyed that last night so much because of that, because I was like, I'll give my best in my races, but I'm going to turn my attention to this whole team and this whole experience and what we can do here. And like Jane said, it gave us chills. It was such a cool moment.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like Rach said, like individually, our senior year wasn't actually our best, but I was the same, you know, there was only one reason we were all there, and that was for the team to take home the championship. So as long as, you know, us going 1, 2, 3 in the mile, I'll never forget that moment, just looking up and seeing NAU top 3. We didn't care who was 1, who was 2, who was 3, you know, it was just such an awesome moment. And yeah, I just, as you're reading that out, oh my gosh, I had forgotten how awesome that night was. It was surreal. I think we were all starting to slowly realize, and no one wants to celebrate early. No one wants to be that team, but we were all realizing that we were just getting closer and closer to being announced as the winners. And it was just, yeah, it was pretty awesome.
And we'd be remiss to, one of the seniors who is not with us today on the call, but Gwen Smithberg, arguably probably the team's best platform diver, one of the best platform divers really in school history. Unfortunately, Gwen, got hurt her senior year right before the WAC championship. So talking about cheering on your teammates, cheering on your fellow, classmate, for Gwen to miss that meet. I know it had been bittersweet for her, but for all of you to be able to win for her in a lot of ways, how did that make you guys feel?
Well, yeah, I mean, when senior year, when Gwen did that, it was traumatic for all of us, to say the least. You train with these people, and to see them hurt, really, you feel that in a way. And, I can't even fathom going into the last meet of your career and not being able to compete. So I remember seeing Gwen right after they announced it. We were on the pool, they announced we won, and we just started like weeping together because, we'd been through such a hard time the past couple of months as a dive team, and to be able to do that and to, be able to win with her, even though she wasn't able to compete, was really special from the diving end.
Yeah, I agree. I think knowing that she wasn't being able to compete, actually, I think personally for me, and I'm assuming the rest of the girls would have been the same, that like just putting that little bit more in, knowing that we were doing it for her as well, that she wasn't able to compete, because like Jane said, like your last season of your career potentially is like a massive part. You want to go out with a bang, you want to be a part of it, and knowing for her that she had to sit on the sideline and just watch from afar, I think for myself made me put in that little bit more effort, going, you know what, I'm doing this for her as well as the team. I'm doing it for her that she wasn't able to participate.
Well, and I definitely want to say Gwen was such an incredible cheerleader. She had such a positive attitude through the whole thing. And, like I said, I could only imagine the hurt she was feeling, but she didn't show that. And she was so supportive of all of us and wanted to make sure we did our best, and was there to help us with anything we needed, and was incredibly supportive considering how heartbroken she must have been. So definitely shout out to Gwen for being such an incredible teammate during that time.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like, I honestly can't imagine the pain of watching your event happen from the side of the pool. So when she was watching, all the diving, but especially platform, that must have been heartbreaking, but you wouldn't have known. She was just all about cheering, and like Jane said, she was definitely our best cheerleader for the entire meet. So yeah, I'd second that from you, Jane.
So after you guys win, as customary, you all jump into the pool. You've got the WAC championship sign. You guys are holding the trophy. What are some of those emotions, knowing that, hey, we ended up on top. We're leaving as champions. What are some of those emotions after you guys win the championship?
I think there's a little bit of relief. Like, I think because we talked about it, we knew we could do it. And so then you stress out for those 4 days as you see it kind of seesawing a little bit. So I think for me personally, obviously it was excitement and all those feelings, but there was that little bit of relief because we didn't want to walk away from our 4 years not having gotten so close, not having got that final trophy. So for me, there's definitely a bit of relief in there.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, it was just so surreal too, because I mean, for myself, like I didn't compete with swimming afterwards. So not only was it just like, I mean, the end of an era, but then also for all of us, for the most part, I mean, that was the end of our swimming career too. So, I mean, it was just the best way to go out, and I think it took a little bit to kind of set in, like once we got back to Flagstaff, of like, okay, like we did it, this is it. But yeah, I don't know, it was crazy.
I remember just the feeling that we'd done it together as well, like just looking around the pool, and I mean the whole team for sure, but just especially our class, we had become so close by then. And it was an amazing 4 years without the win, but that just absolutely topped it off. And it was just so awesome seeing, I mean, most of us, I think probably all of us had family there as well. And so that was definitely a sense of pride as well, like for us being over from New Zealand and our parents being able to see us win our last championship meet. I mean, it was pretty awesome.
Kind of going off of what Emma said, every year at WAC was just an environment you can't explain. The energy in that pool, whether you were beating another team or someone on the team was doing a personal best, was just unbelievable. And so to pull it out at the end, our last year there, and to come home with that championship, I think was just kind of like Andrea said, just surreal. I don't think I believed it for probably 2 days. It just didn't feel like we had gotten there, and it had been such a huge goal for our class especially, and it was awesome to see that we finally were able to achieve it.
It
And
definitely is.
Andrea, who mentioned it earlier about that it was such a team effort. You know, it wasn't just your 1 through 4 scoring points. It was your 5 through 8s, your 9 through 16s. All 20 scoring athletes scored in at least one event at the WAC championships. And I think that really just exemplifies what a team championship that was. And among those 20 were a number of underclassmen, you know, who really stepped up in their first WAC championships. So maybe that was a sign of things to come, that this championship run was about to just get started. So just briefly talk about the team as a whole that season, and what that team, you know, after you guys graduated, was able to accomplish after that.
Well, I think, like you said, we'd built so much depth. Like we had, I mean, the coaches had done a great job of recruiting, and I felt like we'd created such a positive environment that everybody was sort of coming through and challenging, and we had a really good sense of competitiveness, but like a healthy competitiveness against each other. So, you know, when we're split into our training groups of, you know, sprint, mid, distance, whatever it was, there was always such a challenge in training, so many people challenging each other. And I think that really just brought the depth of the group up. And so we knew going into conference that we had the depth, and yeah, we might not win the most races, but we're going to have the most people in there backing it up, like you're saying, in the A final and the B final.
Yeah, I was pretty, I remember being super impressed by our underclassmen in our last year. And I think that was another reason why I left my time at NAU so happy, is that I knew that it wasn't sort of this one time we were going to win a meet. I mean, we were going to leave and they had another amazing class coming through, and you know, you knew that they had the potential to keep going. It wasn't sort of this one time thing. It was going to be the future for NAU. And I mean, seven years later, they've definitely shown that.
I think there's also the feeling of family that we've mentioned. And so getting to such a big high stakes meet and seeing like freshmen and sophomores step up, especially freshmen where it's their first time, it's, you know, you've done club swimming where it's so individual, and now all the pressure of a team is on you, and just seeing them step up, like you're proud of how you perform, but then seeing them, it's like your little sister doing well. You get like you're really excited seeing them like perform so well and see what they can do, and kind of really feeling that atmosphere. It's just fun to see everyone kind of come into their own also.
So yeah, you know, I think, Becky, that was a perfect segue to kind of the last question here on Lumberjack Flashback. You mentioned family. I know that's something that Andy and Nikki preach throughout the program. And as it pertains to you, 7 plus, you know, Gwen and Sterling, I know as a senior class through all these years, you guys have remained super close, super tight knit. What about the bond that you guys formed during your 4 years here in Flagstaff is so special that these friendships have really, you know, carried on past your years here as Lumberjacks?
Yeah, I agree. I think spending 4 years with these girls was like once in a lifetime opportunity, and I think we did bond really well. I think living with each other and training with each other, you honestly become like sisters, and you treat each other like sisters. You know, you're honest with each other and you're real with each other, and I think that's really important when it's a team environment, because then you know that they're telling you the truth, and you can only get better from that. But I also think, since leaving, we have stayed in touch, and, we might not talk as often as we'd like to because, we all live in different countries and we have our own lives. But it's really nice to know that no matter what, we'll always have each other and we'll always have each other's back, because we've been through some really tough times together and some really awesome times together, like winning the WAC championship. And, we know how to talk to each other, and, we're always there for one another, and that's the best feeling ever.
I know, especially from an international standpoint as well, when I guess us three went over there, we're all kind of, out on a limb, pretty terrified, didn't really know what we were signing up for. And so I think for us, especially having everyone's family, at some point, everybody's family kind of brought us in, whether it was for Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever it was, they always made us feel like we were kind of part of them. And I know all our parents are desperate for these guys to come over. Some of them have, which has been great, but they're just desperate to kind of repay what we felt because they're so grateful for that. So that was really, really cool from it, and definitely created that family feeling, not only with these girls, but also with their families as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, just looking around, we spent Christmas at Shani's place, many times at Andrea's place, Easter at Jane's place. So, I mean, it was a big extended family, really. Shout out to all the parents for having us. Thank you very much for that.
And the Christmas presents, I mean, always made us feel like...
Yeah, I've got 2 lots. Thanks for that.
Well, and like you said, a huge chunk of it is Andy and Nikki, the way they coach the team, the way they unite the team, the way they just, encourage the idea of friendship and family, and always, we're on the same team, we're here together, we're here to help each other through things. I mean, their leadership really shapes the team. And so I feel incredibly grateful that I ended up on a college team with such incredible coaches. Because, there's some great coaches out there that maybe aren't the best, at, or, uniting a team. So yeah, obviously we're all still very close, and we've shared some very special memories, and it's all thanks to, swimming and diving.
Thanks to Mom and Dad. That's what we used to call
That's
them.
what I was
gonna say. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
They're just, I don't know. They're our Flagstaff parents. Do you remember, Emma, being in my car and it breaking down and having to call Andy to see?
Yeah, we were like, who do we call? And I was like, I'd call my dad, and we were like, let's call Andy.
Let's call Andy. Like, do you know a tow company? Where should I take it? I don't know what to do. Like, yeah, they definitely fostered that sense of family for us.
And crazy Aunt Laura. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, Laura!
Oh my goodness.
Well, and I just
some awesome assistant coaches.
Oh yeah.
Did.
Yeah.
Tina and Laura.
Going off of what the story that Rachel and Andrea just shared, they supported us in and out of the pool. So they helped us focus on both what our lives would look like after NAU, especially with a sport that doesn't really continue after college, and also supported us in being our best selves in the pool. But there was that trust that you could go to them with anything and they would be there to help you through whatever it was.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us on Lumberjack Flashback. I hope it was as fun looking back at that championship season as it was talking about it, on my end.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Thank you. So fun to reunite with everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. Please come to Australia.
Yeah,
or New Zealand.